I am Kara Tucker with the Kenton County Public Library. Today is Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, and I will be interviewing Edward Schuette at Atria Highland Crossing in Fort Wright, Kentucky. The other person attending the interview is our videographer, Mike Bloom, also of the Kenton County Public Library. This interview is being conducted for the Kenton County Public Library's Veterans History Project in conjunction with the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Good afternoon, Mr. Schuette.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your full name, birth date, branch of service, highest rank attained, and your dates of service? A few things.
Edward R. Schuette, date of birth 4/7/1939.
And what was your branch of service?
Air Force, and I was an airman first class when I left.
And what were your dates of service?
4 years. Dates, oh God.
Approximate dates.
Okay. 60 to 64.
All right. Okay, so we're going to do some early life stuff before you entered the military. Can you tell me about where you were born and what your parents' names were?
Covington, Kentucky. Ed and Rosemary Schuette are my parents. And I was born in Covington, went to grade school at the local Catholic church, St. Augustine's, and high school at, God, that's terrible.
Take your time. No worries.
Take your time.
Covington Catholic High School.
Okay.
And then I went to college at Thomas More.
Oh, great. Do you have any siblings? And what are their names if you do?
I got two girls, Christine and Susan.
Okay. So you went all the way through high school then, and you finished, and did you have any extracurricular activities or classes you really enjoyed?
Well, I ended up with a master's degree too. I went to Xavier and got that in business.
Nice. So you're pretty well studied then.
Yes.
Did you work at all during the time you were studying?
Oh yeah, always had part-time jobs, yeah.
What kind of places did you work at?
Delicatessen, something like that.
So everybody knew you and you knew them if you're working at the deli.
Yeah, right.
So was that in Covington as well?
Yes, yes.
What was the location of that?
19th and Highland.
Okay. So was that near Pieselberg, I think?
Yeah,
or-
Pieselberg,
okay.
that's it.
Are you Pieselbergian, I presume then?
I'm Deutsch.
Oh, there you go. All right. So when you I would guess, given the time frame, I'm guessing you enlisted, or rather than were drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay.
I was during Vietnam, and I figured I was going to get drafted, so I enlisted.
Was there any specific reason why you chose the branch of service that you did?
Yeah, I thought there would be less combat in the Air Force than in the Army.
Probably accurate
Yeah.
way of thinking about it, yeah. Where did you go to basic training?
Texas,
Had you been to Texas before?
no.
Did you fly there or take a train?
No, flew, yeah.
Was that your first time flying? Or?
Yeah, you're correct,
Okay.
yes.
Was that exciting or scary or?
No, I wasn't scared at all.
Well, I guess if you're going to go into the guys that fly, you'd have to be prepared.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me. So when you're training, do you have any instructors that you remember particularly well, or any part of the training that stands out still?
I remember one, and he was a hard-ass guy, and I can't remember his name. I hated him.
Oh, no. Was he the kind that mail call would come and try to pick people out, or was he just strict about uniform, or what
He was
was he
strict
like?
about everything.
What would he do if someone fell out of line?
And the what?
Was there anything he'd do if someone fell out of line?
Yeah, a good holler and then a good slap on the back, something like that.
That's no fun. Did you have to do, or did you do any special specific training?
Physical training?
Or anything special or specific while you were training?
Well, I ended up going to school to become I don't know what you call it in civilian life. It's communications,
Okay.
and it was telegraph wires. You know, what do you call it? Come in on a machine and you tear it off and you give it to whoever gets it.
Okay.
You know, that sort of thing.
So you learned how to communicate using those means?
Right, and then I'd be an intermediary. Somebody'd be sending something to Vietnam and they'd send it to me and I'd send it to Vietnam, that sort of thing.
Was it tempting to read what was going through, or did you just type away what was happening? Or
Yeah, I sent it, that was it.
Sure. All right, so once you finished your training, what rank were you and where were you sent after that? It looks like you were in a couple of places that were very different weather-wise.
Oh, God, see, you're talking a long time ago.
Take your time, no rush.
I was stationed in Florida, which was wonderful. And then they sent me to Goose Bay Labrador, where they had 100 inches of snow every year, so there was quite a big difference in the climate.
Sure.
And I got through that, and I proposed to my wife when I came home on leave. I had a year to go, and I was going to be stationed in Florida. So I got married and took her to Florida for our honeymoon on Uncle Sam.
Smart planning. How did you meet your wife? Was it before you were in the military, or?
She was dating a friend of mine, and he introduced me, and I fell in love with the lady and ended up with her.
Did you get to communicate by mail very much while you were enlisted?
Constantly, yeah.
Was it fun? I guess the mail guy coming. Every time I talk to someone, they bring up the mail guy. That's always like, uh-oh, you better know who he is, so he goes to you first. So you were in Florida, and then you ended up in Canada, and then Florida again. Is that correct?
No? Let's see. Yeah, I was in basic training in Florida.
Okay, I see.
Then I got stationed in Goose Bay, Labrador, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I was actually stationed then in Florida.
Oh, okay. So were you doing a lot of the communications element that you mentioned when you were in Labrador?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the climate there have any impact on your ability to communicate? I'm not sure a telegraph wires stand up to snow.
Well, of course, the climate in Goose Bay, Labrador sucked. But it was bad. You had to wear a parka and everything else to go from the barracks to the workstation. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't much fun.
And I kind of had to look it up myself because I didn't know there was a place there that doesn't look like that Air Force place. The U.S. wasn't really there for very long, it seems.
Now, I don't know if they're still there or not.
I think it said that it was only up to about 1970, if I'm not
Oh, you're
mistaken.
probably right. Yeah.
So what was it like kind of sharing that space with other forces?
Well, Canada was one side of the base and we were the other, so, never the twain shall meet, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, privately, we could go have a beer together or something like that, sure.
Did you get to do very much with your free time like that?
Whenever I could.
Did you have a lot of people that were also with you in training that made it also to Goose Bay, or were there totally new people?
No, there was turnover, but it was constant,
Mm-hmm.
people leaving, people coming, that sort of thing.
What was the camaraderie like?
It was good. Good esprit de corps.
Nice. So What were your living quarters like?
Barracks.
Were they, I guess, compared to some who, sometimes are on boats or in other unexpected places, was it fairly comfortable, I would hope then, despite the 10 feet of snow?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
To share a lot of the space with a lot of people?
Oh, yeah.
Was it similar to basic then in a way, or?
Well, yeah, you're more relaxed than basic, that's for sure. Because then sometimes you're scared, blankless.
What kind of instances are those?
No, that was in boot camp.
Oh, okay. Do you have any memories that stick out or were really memorable when you were in either Goose Bay or later in Tampa, stationed there?
Well, Tampa I loved. And in fact, I married my wife and took her to Tampa. And she had a year's honeymoon, so I thought that was pretty nice.
So that was your last year that you were
Yeah.
in it?
Right.
Let's see. Did you have any promotions when you were active, or and what were they, if you did?
Well, out at basic, airman basic, then third class, second class, and first class. And that's as far as you could get in 4 years.
Okay. So you used communication, you said, to send messages during Vietnam, is that correct?
Yeah, it was basically teletype, where they'd send it to me and I'd have to put it into a board, so it's like a switchboard, and send it to Goose Bay Labrador, or well, they sent it to me in Goose Bay and I'd be sending it on to somewhere else.
So was there ever a moment in your military career where you realized that this was serious business?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, was there one moment that you realized, or a bunch of moments?
A bunch of moments when I read some of the documents coming through, and I mean, I can't speak of them. Some of them were top secret and that sort of thing. It was scared out of me.
I had a question, I lost it.
Did the wars, as you were growing up, the Korean War and the World War II, what kind of effect did that have on you as a younger guy going into your service?
Not much, but it influenced me that I better get into the Air Force, and it would be a lot easier than the Army, let's put it that way.
Okay,
So that's why I signed up with the Air Force.
okay.
Did you feel like you had a good idea of what was happening on a wider scale while you were
Oh, sure.
at your places
Sure,
too?
sure.
Being in communication, do you think that helped?
Yeah, but you could read stuff, and you couldn't talk to anybody about it, but you could read it.
Was that the primary function of the location in Goose Bay, or what other things did they do
No,
there?
I mean, I received data for that base, and then I might have to send it to another base,
So how was the security there? Obviously, if you're exchanging some sensitive information and some intelligence, they probably kept a pretty close watch on places like that, right?
They did, yeah.
Okay.
It was tight security.
Okay.
Were there any particularly memorable incidents or happenings?
Not that I recall, it's been so long.
Sure. Could you sum up your impression of it?
Please?
Could you sum up kind of your impression of the experience?
Oh, it was a good experience. It was a good learning experience, yeah.
Did it inform anything you did after you were finished with your service?
Well, I did marry the lady I was seeing, and took her to Florida on Uncle Sam's ticket, and we stayed down there for a year. So.
Once you were out, did you come back to Northern Kentucky?
Oh, yes, yes.
What was it like when you were released? Were you just ready to head home, or did you have the option to do any other kind of training, or how did that work out when you were finished?
No, when I was finished, I was finished.
Okay.
That was it.
Did your opinion change of the armed services after you got done?
Oh, yeah, I was very respectful, and, yeah, I thought it was a good experience for me.
Okay.
Did you maintain any connection to any of the people you served with?
Yeah, I corresponded with a couple of guys for a couple of years, and then, you know, they went their way and I went mine, got married and all that.
Are you active in any veterans organizations?
Not anymore, no.
Were you
No,
previously?
I wasn't. I never was,
Okay.
yeah.
Was there ever a job that you wanted to do that you never got a chance to? Was there a dream job in the services that you'd rather have?
No, but I got my dream job here
Okay.
as a director, ended up as director of human resources at Cincinnati Gas and Electric Company.
Oh, nice.
And
CG&E, huh?
yeah, that was my goal.
Okay.
You know, you negotiate contracts and oversee benefits and people stuff.
Okay.
So communicating even still.
Yep,
yeah.
again, yeah.
So is that, did you retire from there, or is that where you
Yes.
worked mostly?
Did any young guys or girls going into service, you know, if there was a message you could send to them, you think it's still you know, the right thing to do? Is it worthwhile?
I think it's the right thing to do for your country, yes.
Okay. And obviously you get some job skills too while you do it.
Right on.
And I think back then, back in the day, they had the GI Bill, right? So you could even
Yeah, I got
buy
a lot
house.
I got a lot of college and stuff too because of the government grants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add
No,
to it, or any other observations or memories or opinions?
No,
or?
I think the being in the service was a good thing for me. Makes you grow up, and it gives you a little more of a view of the world too. I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to go to Goose Bay Labrador in the winter, but still, it was a learning experience.
All right.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
This is Kara Tucker, and I'm concluding my interview with Edward Schuette. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate
Nice
your
talking
time.
with you.
We appreciate
a lot.
it.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Thank you. Let me get you this.